the food dyes are kind of the most egregious because they don't use them in any other country. They're clearly associated with a grim inventory of diseases, including cancers and behavioral diseases, neurological diseases like ADHD. And it's very, very well documented. And they're making, in many cases, the same products in this country that have those dyes, and then they use vegetable dyes in Canada, Mexico, and Europe. CEO of Pepsi, which owns Doritos, said that in Doritos, people, the consumers like them to be very red, and we have not yet found a vegetable dye that we can match, but we're going to do it. And I said they all have to be out within 2 years. And I met with Tyson's Foods 2 weeks ago, and they only use one dye. They're down to one dye, which is a caramel that is used in some of the meat products. And they said, we're already working on a way to get it out very quickly. We're getting rid of the GRAS standard, which is kind of the biggest villain.
Which stands for
generally recognized as safe. And it was in the 1940s and 50s, FDA adopted this standard and started testing chemicals in food. Initially, FDA was a response to adulterated foods, so it was testing for bacteria in foods. Then it began regulating chemical content of food and chemical additives. And it didn't want to, it wanted to draw a line where it didn't have to test everything, so that traditional ingredients like yeast and wheat and eggs, etc., they said for those kind of foods, we're going to adopt a standard called generally recognized as safe. We don't have to test them. We're not going to make the companies test them. But the FDA became captured by the food industry, and they enlarged the GRAS standard to apply to everything. And that's why we have 10,000 ingredients in our food. The Europeans only have 400 in theirs, because in Europe, before you add something, a chemical to a food, you got to prove that it's safe. In our country, it is rubber stamped. Everything is assumed to be fit.
So it's the precautionary principle.
It's the precautionary principle, which is, you keep it out until you prove it's safe. We're spending $2 trillion more than we have each year. And that's existential, and that's a public health issue. And we need to cut the size of the government and make it more efficient and make it do services more efficiently. HHS's job is to make America healthy, and we're spending $1.9 trillion a year, and people are not getting healthy. People are getting sicker. I think what we need to do is to realign our incentives in this country. At this point, pharmaceutical drugs are the third biggest killer of Americans. And so pharma has given us extraordinary inventions and extraordinary medical treatments. But the profit orientation of the industry has sometimes given us also reverse outcomes. What we are trying to do, our overall objective, is to realign the incentives for the industry, for hospitals, for the entire medical establishment with our public needs, which is to make America healthier again.